I, 30F, am in a complicated situation with my brother Andy, 32M, his ex Violet, 29F, and his new girlfriend Kelly, 28F. This whole thing has been eating at me, so I need some outside perspective. For background, Andy and Violet were together for 10 years, since college. We all grew up in the same neighborhood, and over those years, Violet became like another sister to me. Our family immigrated from Syria when Andy and I were young, and our parents, especially Mom, held on to very traditional values. They never fully accepted Violet because she wasn't from our culture. Mom would make constant passive-aggressive comments about how Violet didn't understand our traditions or couldn't properly make Middle Eastern dishes. She'd often try to set Andy up with daughters of her friends from the local Arab community, even while he was with Violet. What made it worse was that Violet really tried to fit in. She learned to cook our traditional foods, participated in all cultural celebrations, and even started learning Arabic. But nothing was ever good enough for Mom. Dad stayed mostly quiet about it all, but his silence spoke volumes. Despite all this, Violet stayed patient and kind, always helping Mom with family events and bringing thoughtful gifts during holidays. Andy always assured both of us that he had everything under control. He claimed he had serious talks with our parents about his relationship with Violet and that they would eventually come around. I remember countless late-night conversations where he'd tell me how committed he was to Violet and how he wouldn't let our parents' disapproval affect their relationship. 2 years ago, everything fell apart. Andy had finally turned 30, and Mom's pressure about marriage intensified. She started openly talking about arranged marriages and bringing up potential Arab brides at every family gathering. This obviously upset Violet, who had been waiting patiently for years. Andy finally agreed to have a serious conversation with our parents about marrying Violet. The conversation went horribly. Mom cried, Dad got angry, and they gave a reluctant approval that felt more like a threat. A week later, Andy suddenly broke up with Violet. His explanation was that our parents would never truly accept her, and he couldn't handle being caught between them forever. Violet was blindsided. She had spent her entire 20s with Andy, planning their future together. I was shocked too, especially given how adamant Andy had been about standing up to our parents. After the breakup, I maintained my friendship with Violet. We still meet regularly for coffee or drinks, and she's helped me through several tough times. Andy said he was okay with our continued friendship, though I suspect it's partly out of guilt for how things ended. Violet insists she's over Andy, but she brings him up in almost every conversation, usually to point out his flaws or talk about how he wasted her youth. Recently, Andy started dating Kelly. She works at his company in a different department, and they met at a work event. Kelly is really sweet and we clicked immediately. We share similar interests in music and art, and we're planning to attend a concert together next month. She seems to make Andy genuinely happy, and Mom absolutely adores her. Surprise, surprise, she's from a Lebanese family. The situation got complicated last weekend when I met Violet for drinks. After her third glass of wine, she mentioned hearing rumors about Andy dating someone new. She seemed really upset and wanted to know if I had any information. I panicked and lied, saying I didn't know anything about Andy's dating life. The look of hurt in her eyes made me feel terrible, but I didn't know how to handle the situation. Now I'm stuck in this awkward position. My wedding is coming up next year, and both women are important to me. My fiancé and I decided to make Violet a groomslady since they're also close friends, but I haven't officially asked anyone to be in the wedding party yet. I'm worried about how Violet will react when she inevitably finds out about Kelly, especially since there's a good chance Kelly might end up in my bridal party if things continue going well with Andy. I feel awful about lying to Violet, but I also want to support Andy's new relationship. Kelly hasn't done anything wrong, and I genuinely enjoy her company. I'm tired of walking on eggshells and feeling like I'm betraying someone no matter what I do. I need advice on how to handle this situation. Should I come clean to Violet about lying? How do I maintain both friendships without hurting either of them? Am I wrong for trying to be friends with both women? The whole situation is giving me anxiety, and I could really use some outside perspective. TLDR, my brother broke up with his girlfriend of 10 years because our parents wouldn't accept her. I stayed friends with his ex while also becoming friends with his new girlfriend. Now I'm caught in the middle and don't know how to handle the situation. Update 1: The situation has gotten much worse than I anticipated. Everything blew up in the most dramatic way possible, and now I'm stuck in an even more complicated mess. Violet found out about Kelly through our mutual friend Sarah, who didn't know I had been keeping it secret. Sarah mentioned seeing Andy and Kelly at a restaurant and innocently asked Violet if she had met Andy's new girlfriend yet. Violet immediately called me, and I could tell she had been crying. She was hurt not just about Andy dating someone new, but more about me lying to her face about it. We met at a local cafe to talk things through. The conversation quickly turned into a heated argument. Violet said she felt doubly betrayed, first by Andy, and now by me. She reminded me of all the times she had been there for me, including when I was going through a rough patch with my fiancé last year. She couldn't understand why I felt the need to lie when Andy had already hurt her enough. I tried to explain that I was just trying to protect her feelings and avoid causing her more pain, but she wasn't having it. She said she's not some fragile flower that needs protection, and that is her friend. I should have respected her enough to be honest. The worst part was when she asked if I had been hanging out with Kelly, and I had to admit about our upcoming concert plans. Violet got really quiet after that, which honestly felt worse than her anger. The situation got even more complicated when my mom decided to throw an impromptu family dinner last weekend. She invited Kelly without telling anyone beforehand. This wouldn't have been an issue, except Violet chose that exact evening to drop off some old family photos she had found while cleaning out her apartment. These were pictures from various family events over the years that she thought my parents might want to keep. The timing couldn't have been worse. Violet walked in just as we were all sitting down to dinner, with Kelly seated right next to Andy in Violet's old spot at the table. My mom, being her usual self, made the situation 10 times worse by making a big show of how Kelly had helped prepare some traditional Syrian dishes. She even made pointed comments about how nice it was to finally have someone who truly understands our culture at the table. Violet handled it with more grace than anyone could have expected. She politely greeted everyone, handed the photo album to my mom, and excused herself. But I saw the tears in her eyes as she left. Andy later told me he found her crying in her car in the driveway. Instead of showing any empathy, my mom spent the rest of dinner praising Kelly and making comments about how this was meant to be and how she always knew Andy would find the right girl eventually. I could see how uncomfortable Kelly looked, but she didn't say anything. Andy just sat there silently, avoiding eye contact with everyone. After dinner, Andy confronted me about not warning him that Violet might come over. He said I should have known she still had some of our family's things and might return them. I reminded him that I'm not Violet's keeper and that Mom was the one who created this awkward situation by not telling anyone about inviting Kelly. This led to a huge argument where Andy accused me of trying to sabotage his new relationship by maintaining contact with Violet. Now my parents are getting involved too. They've been calling me daily, saying it's inappropriate and disrespectful to maintain such a close friendship with Andy's ex while he's trying to move on with Kelly. Mom keeps bringing up how it looks bad to the community that I'm still friends with Violet. She even suggested that my friendship with Violet might affect my own wedding, saying some relatives might not approve. But I refuse to cut ties with Violet. She's been my friend for over a decade, and she didn't do anything wrong. If anything, our family owes her an apology for how everything ended. Andy made his choice, but that doesn't mean I have to choose too. The concert with Kelly is coming up next week, and I'm not sure what to do. Part of me wants to cancel to show solidarity with Violet, but another part feels that would be unfair to Kelly, who's innocent in all this. I haven't told either of them about my plans for the other, and the guilt is eating me up. I get that this situation isn't sustainable in the long run, but I don't know how to fix it without hurting someone. The worst part is that I can see this affecting my upcoming wedding too. How am I supposed to handle having both women there? My fiancé suggests we just let things play out naturally, but I'm worried this will all blow up again at our wedding. Am I wrong for trying to maintain both friendships? Should I have been honest with Violet from the start? How do I handle my family's pressure without compromising my principles? Update 2: Everything I thought I knew about my brother has been turned upside down. A revelation came to light that made me question not just Andy's character, but my own judgment for defending him all this time. I discovered that Andy didn't break up with Violet just because of our parents' disapproval. He had been seeing Kelly for several months before ending things with Violet. The truth came out in the most unexpected way. I was at a work-related networking event when I ran into Mike, one of Andy's co-workers who didn't know I was his sister. After a few drinks, Mike started talking about office relationships and mentioned how Andy and Kelly's story was like a movie. According to him, they had been flirting for months before Andy ended his previous relationship. Mike even joked about how everyone in the office knew something was going on between them way before Andy officially started dating Kelly. I felt sick to my stomach. All those late nights Andy claimed he was working on important projects, all those work events he said Violet couldn't attend because they were strictly employees only, it was all a lie. The timeline matched perfectly with the months leading up to his breakup with Violet. When I confronted Andy about it, he initially tried to deny everything. But when I mentioned Mike, his whole demeanor changed. He admitted that he and Kelly had gotten close while he was still with Violet. He claimed it started innocently, just lunch breaks and coffee runs, but developed into something more. He said he had been unhappy with Violet for a while, and meeting Kelly made him realize he needed to make a change. I asked him why he used our parents as an excuse instead of being honest. He said he didn't want to hurt Violet more than necessary, And blaming it on our parents seemed kinder than admitting he had feelings for someone else. He begged me not to tell Violet, saying it was all in the past and revealing it now would only cause more pain. The conversation turned ugly when I called him out on his cowardice. He accused me of being jealous of his happiness with Kelly and suggested that I was trying to sabotage his relationship by clinging to Violet. When I pointed out that he was the one who destroyed his relationship by cheating, he got defensive and said emotional cheating wasn't the same as physical cheating. I couldn't believe this was my brother talking. The same person who used to lecture me about honesty and integrity when we were younger was now trying to justify his betrayal. It made me question every story he had ever told me about his breakup with Violet. The worst part is that I now feel complicit in his deception. All those times I comforted Violet, telling her it wasn't her fault, that Andy was just weak and gave in to our parents' pressure, I was unknowingly helping him maintain his lie. The guilt is overwhelming. I canceled my upcoming plans with Kelly. I couldn't look her in the eye knowing she had knowingly pursued a relationship with someone who was committed to someone else. Even if Andy was the one who cheated, she wasn't innocent in this situation. Now I'm torn about what to do with this information. Violet has finally started to move forward with her life. She's been dating casually and seems less bitter about the breakup. Would telling her the truth help her heal or just reopen old wounds? Is it my place to tell her at all? Andy keeps sending me messages, alternating between begging me to keep his secret and threatening that revealing it will destroy our relationship forever. Our parents, who still don't know the truth, keep asking why I'm suddenly being cold towards Andy and Kelly. I feel like I'm carrying a ticking time bomb. The truth will probably come out eventually, secrets like this usually do. But should I be the one to reveal it? If I tell Violet, am I doing it for her benefit or just to clear my own conscience? And now I'm even more worried about my wedding. How can I have either of them there knowing what I know? The thought of watching Andy and Kelly playing the perfect couple while knowing how their relationship really started makes me sick. I need advice. Should I tell Violet the truth? Or should I keep quiet and let the past stay in the past? Update 3. After weeks of internal struggle, I decided to tell Violet the truth about Andy and Kelly. I couldn't live with myself knowing I was helping maintain Andy's lie. We met at her apartment, and I told her everything, about running into Mike, Andy's confession, and how their relationship started while he was still with her. Surprisingly, Violet took the news better than I expected. She said she had always felt something was off about their breakup. There were signs she had ignored: Andy's sudden late nights at work, his secretive behavior with his phone, how he would get defensive when she asked about attending his work events. She said learning the truth actually helped her move forward because it confirmed that ending the relationship was about Andy's character, not her shortcomings or our family's disapproval. Andy found out I told Violet and exploded. He showed up at my house unannounced, yelling about how I betrayed his trust and ruined everything. The irony of him talking about betrayal wasn't lost on me. During his rant, he revealed that he and Kelly had gotten engaged last week. He demanded that I choose between attending their wedding or maintaining my friendship with Violet, saying he couldn't have someone who didn't support his happiness at his wedding. I chose Violet. This enraged Andy even more. He stormed out, saying I was dead to him. Our parents called shortly after, saying I was tearing the family apart. Mom was particularly upset, saying I had ruined Andy's special moment with my petty revelations. When I tried to explain Andy's cheating, she dismissed it as youthful confusion and said what mattered was that he found the right person in the end. Violet has started dating someone from her yoga class. She seems genuinely happy, and for the first time in 2 years, she can talk about Andy without getting emotional. She's still going to be a groomslady at my wedding. My fiancé and I both agree on this. If Andy decides not to attend because of her presence, that's his choice. Some of our cousins who heard about the situation have taken sides. The older ones side with Andy, saying family should always come first. The younger ones, especially those who were close to Violet, understand my position. Our extended family gatherings have become awkward, with people carefully choosing which events to attend based on who will be there. Kelly reached out to me last week, saying she was sorry for how everything happened but hoped we could move past it. I told her I needed time. Maybe someday I'll be able to forgive them both, but right now, I can't pretend everything is okay. Andy still hasn't spoken to me directly since his outburst. He communicates through our parents or sends passive-aggressive messages in the family group chat. Our parents keep trying to mediate, suggesting family therapy or a formal sit-down to hash things out. But I'm done pretending. Sometimes standing by your principles means losing relationships, even with family. My wedding is in 6 months, and while the situation isn't ideal, I'm at peace with my decisions. I'd rather have one honest friend than a brother who expects me to support his lies. As my grandma used to say, truth hurts once, but lies hurt forever. The most recent development is that some mutual friends have started distancing themselves from Andy and Kelly after learning the truth. Andy blames me for this too, but I didn't tell anyone else. Seems like the truth has a way of coming out on its own.